So, I finally got to see Inside Out 2. I'm a little bit late on this one, I apologize. Inside Out 2, a movie that is now on track to be maybe the biggest, highest grossing animated movie ever. So I'm gonna say something I've never said on this channel before. Good job, Disney. You did something right. Or good job, Pixar. Pixar is like the last golden goose Disney has. They haven't ruined them yet. Give it time. And as you read by the title, I have said that Inside Out 2 is a safe movie. Now, what do I mean? Well, I mean to explain that in this review and tell you what I mean by that word. And the main thing that I mean is that this movie is a very safe sequel. It's a movie that does not take many huge risks, many huge jumps. It just tells another sort of retelling of the first movie's stories while introducing some new concepts, some new emotions in a practical way, but really kind of going through the same emotional beats that they know will connect to both an older audience, a family audience, and of course a younger audience. And it's a movie that does a very, very good job at what it's attempting to do, but I personally wish maybe would have taken a little bit of a bigger jump with its storytelling. Let me get into it. So Inside Out 2 is a direct sequel to Inside Out 1, which came out a bunch of years ago, an insanely popular movie. This one, yet again, follows the same emotions within the head of this girl, Riley. This girl that is now a 13-year-old girl going through puberty. We follow joy, sadness, fear, disgust, all of these different emotions that we all have within our own brains. They have been controlling this girl for years, and they are still sort of controlling her now. But now that she's going through puberty, there are a bunch of new emotions, like anxiety, and envy, and embarrassment, and boredom, and all these other miserable things that we all feel as teenagers, when we were teenagers at least. We follow Riley as she's handling like these different, scenarios of trying to be a good friend and trying to understand who she is and how that connects to her friendships and her future. And we have a movie here. So what do I think about the new additions in this movie? Well, I love the new emotions. I think they're all great. They're extremely well voiced by the people doing the voice acting here, and I think they're funny. They deliver some of the funniest laughs in the movie, especially within the first 20 minutes as you are introduced to them. I think the first 20 minutes of this movie are easily the strongest. Maya Hawke as Anxiety is hilarious and gave me anxiety listening to her just ramble about things anxiety make you ramble about in your own mind. It is done perfectly. The character itself and the way that it is presented is exactly how it should be, and the meta commentary on how anxiety actually affects teenagers is done extremely well. It was written by people that get it, which is good. Ayo Edebiri does an incredible job as Envy. I wish there was more of her. She is so good in everything she does. Her voice acting in this movie, she might actually be the best voice actor in this movie. She is unbelievable every time you hear her voice. Just wish there was more of her. Everybody from the original cast is also really great. I still think Phyllis Smith does an incredible job as Sadness. Her voice is just so iconic, and it makes me want to watch The Office. I think all the characters here are well voiced, and just their comedic aspects, the things of them playing out their emotions, are done really, really well. Now, when it comes to the actual story here, we kind of have two different stories. The story of what's going on in Riley's life and the story of what's going on with the emotions. Now, with Riley's life, the story I actually think is pretty good. It's very simple, it's very basic in nature, but it's relatable enough even to older audiences, not just kids, not just teenagers, that it's something that you could really get invested in. I enjoyed the story here of trying to determine where your future lies and if you should be a good friend or find new friends. It's kind of like this weird crossroads at life that I feel like everybody's existed in, and there, I think, the film is able to tell a unique story that feels different than the first one. In the story with the emotions, I don't know. I just was not that interested in it because it kind of felt similar to the first movie in a way. It's almost kind of like another weird fetch quest in a way where a lot of the emotions are separated from the command post and they have to find this MacGuffin thing to get back and get control of Riley. It's sort of a retelling and just a retreading of the original one, except I don't think it's as interesting this time. I feel like the things that they explore within Riley's mind are just not as exciting to see for the first time as in the first movie when you're exploring these different things and these weird meta things. It's so eye-opening at first and hilarious as you find these different things like forgotten memories. Whereas in this one, it just kind of felt like I wanted to get to the third act faster. Just that sense of discovery is not as much there in this movie. I feel like almost the movie would be better if it had chosen different emotions, the opposite emotions, to be kind of thrown out, and maybe we followed them, like something a little bit more, reaching to do something really, really different in this film. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But because it felt almost just kind of like a retreading, and the film didn't feel like it was doing anything too different with the core story of the emotions, just kind of felt bored at different parts of this movie. I didn't feel that typical magic that I give it a lot of Pixar movies, and I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because a lot of their newer movies, like Elemental, like Lightyear, I don't exactly feel that magic, and a part of me feels like maybe the movies just aren't that good, or maybe I'm just old. Maybe the reason I love so many of the old Pixar movies and I hold so much nostalgic value for it is because I have nostalgia. I'm like the emotion in this movie, nostalgia, which is the funniest part of this movie because I feel like that emotion is what controls 90% of my brain. But I think mainly the reason that I love those movies is because I saw them as a kid and they connected with me differently as a kid, because everything when you're a kid and even early teenager, everything feels magical and wonderful, and those movies connected you in a different way. So I often feel like if I had seen Finding Nemo for the first time today, or, you know, Toy Story 1 for the first time today, would I still connect to it the way that I connected with it when I was a kid, or would I connect to it more so what I just connected with this film, where I just kind of feel like it was good, it was fun, but whatever. That's pretty much how I feel. It's just kind of like a whatever movie. And yet again, I'm trying to be, have my critic hat on here and give, like, a critical analysis. Like, yeah, it's a very standard movie. It plays things very, very safe. It does what it knows it needed to do. It delivers an entertaining experience that kids are going to absolutely adore. It's going to give a decent enough experience for teenagers that they can connect with this and feel like the movie's talking to them. And it's fun and entertaining enough that the adults and people like me watching it are not going to get totally bored and miserable watching this film. They will also be able to connect with something here. But does the film really try to do something so unique with its story that it feels like a necessary sequel that we needed to see? I don't know, maybe. I didn't really feel it. That's all I'm saying. I didn't feel that. And what could they have done differently? I don't really know. Pixar does not make a lot of sequels. They only make sequels to very few properties that they feel comfortable making them. They took so many years to make a sequel to Finding Nemo and the prequel to Monsters, Inc., and I think the main reason is because they really didn't know what kind of story to tell, and you could see with those movies, not saying Finding Dory or Monsters University are terrible movies, but they're definitely weaker than their predecessors, because I feel like the people making the films just, maybe at Pixar, they just don't really know what to do with sequels. And it's because Pixar's biggest strength is introducing you to this new world in every one of their films, new concepts, to get you invested in the fantasy of these worlds and these lives that these characters are existing in. And something about that discovery is so interesting. So having to return to those worlds, removing that discovery aspect and just returning to the characters, it's a lot harder. And obviously with things like Toy Story, they've had a lot of success with. With things like Cars, they've had varying success with. And here I'm unsure. I'm 50-50. A part of me thinks this is a great movie. A lot of people clearly love it, and it's a massive financial success. And a part of me would like to see them continue making these movies throughout all of Riley's life, and by the time you get to, like, the last one, it's an R-rated movie that's just depressing as shit. Or it's Up, I guess. It could just be Up. But at the same time, this is a movie that I feel like I'm just not going to remember at the end of the year. I'm not going to remember I saw it. I'm not going to remember anything about it. And I don't know if that's because I'm old or because the movie's boring. I guess I'll let you decide. You let me know down in the comments. You can be as mean as you want. I don't really care. But this certainly isn't a bad movie. It's just one that I feel like I needed something else from. I needed a bigger risk. I needed something to really differentiate it from the original movie, other than just having these new emotions, which, by the way, are great yet again. I love them. They're easily the best part of this movie. And I think the introduction of them in the first 20 minutes was by far my favorite part of the film, and the part that I was having the most fun in. Just the middle section that kind of lost me. The ending's very emotional, like the first one. If you like that emotional stuff, this movie might make you shed a tear. It did not earn a certified Joe Marchione tear, because I'm just too good. I'm too nice like that. I don't cry at animated Pixar movies. Except for Up and Toy Story 3. And maybe Coco. Onward was kind of sad too. You know, I cry at a lot of these movies. But this one didn't get me, so yeah, hooray. I will give Inside Out 2 a 3 out of 5. It is a standard movie for me. I can't really give it anything higher than that. But I understand that for most people, this movie is easily a 4 or a 5, so I'm happy for you. And if you're somebody that loves these Pixar movies or love the first one, I recommend you go check this movie out, because you will probably like it more than I did. And that's okay, because guess what? Sometimes there's going to be movies that you guys love, that I don't, movies that I love, that you guys don't love. That's just the way the world works. It's called opinions. We all have one, and they're all right. We can all have right opinions. Unless you're Hitler. His opinion was wrong. I think we can all agree on that. Been watching a lot of Nazi Germany documentaries lately. World War II documentaries. They're all so good. It's so interesting. Has nothing to do with Inside Out 2. And now I'm rambling. So let's wrap the video up. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. I post every single day, so please subscribe and watch all my videos. I make videos on movies, TV shows, video games, books, everything. Maybe not everything, but just about everything in this industry. I also make my own movies, and I'm gonna have a lot more content on that stuff coming soon, so just be ready. And I write. Gonna have content on that as well. Please subscribe, notifications, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one.